Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is your Govindraj. Today we will talk about this EPFO circular which was released by them yesterday, which is 29th December 2022. This is because as per the judgment of 4th 11 2022, because the Supreme Court held the interpretation of R.C. Gupta case to be valid, so they had 8 weeks time to give the guidelines and also implement the directions under those judgment. So therefore, that timeline will end on 3rd January 2023. So therefore, now the guidelines have come, and this is a partial guidelines. This is not applicable to the existing employees who were also contributing before 1/9/2014 on higher wages. So this is a partial guidelines which is applicable to retired employees before 1/9/2014. So I have made many videos on higher pension and their eligibility, and also the Honorable Supreme Court judgment dated 4/11/2022. As per this judgment, we will restrict our case to retired employees. See, people who have retired before 1/9/2014, and if they have already exercised the option for higher pension under the earlier proviso to para 11(3) of EPS scheme 1995, so and if the PEPFO has declined their claims for higher pension, so now they are eligible to proceed their higher pension cases, and the EPFO will agree to those cases provided you provide all the documents. But people who have retired before 1/9/2014 and they have not exercised the option for higher pension, so they are not going to get any benefit. And I have received many calls of pensioners, asking for whether they are eligible for higher pension or not. See, there are two conditions are required. One condition is, you if you have retired before 1/9/2014 and you are contributing on higher wages, because before 1/9/2014 the wage ceiling was 6,500. If your employer has restricted his contribution to 6,500 and you are also contributing to the same ceiling, so then you are not going to eligible. Suppose if you are contributing on more than 6,500, which is actual PF wages, and your employer is also contributing, so then there is a possibility for you to get the higher pension provided you have exercised the option. So if we go back to the history of this pensioners case, it actually started from 2005 and only concluded in 2016 when RC Gupta case was held to be valid, and that proviso interpretation was given for the proviso to para 11(3) of EPS 1995 scheme. And based on this RC Gupta case, so many people have approached the EPFO department who are retired after 2010-15. They have approached the EPFO and they have filed their cases, and also through the employer they have filed, and of course EPFO later denied their EPS pension. All these things have happened. Now this gets closed by Supreme Court judgment dated 4th November 2022. Now, because EPFO had 8 weeks time as per para 44(9) of Supreme Court judgment, so they were supposed to release the guidelines. Now the guidelines are issued for these retired employees, and this 8 weeks time is actually going to end on 3rd January 2023. So therefore you have the guidelines, and let me tell you very clearly that these guidelines are partial and they are not in full in nature, and they are only applicable to people who are retired before 1/9/2014. So now how these people are going to get higher pension, how their claims are going to get resolved. And as I told you, this circular addresses only para 44(9), 5 and 6 of the judgment, and this is related to employees, retired employees only. And what does this para say? If you go back to the judgment of 4th November 2022, what does this para say? See, the first one is the interpretation of RC Gupta case related to proviso to para 11(3) of the pension scheme 1995 held to be valid and agreed. What is this paragraph 11(3) and what is the interpretation? Everything I have already talked in the previous videos, and you have to go and watch so that you will have a greater clarity. And the retired employees who did not exercise the option before 1/9/2014 are not entitled to higher pension, which I have already told you about this. And the retired employees who exercised the option before 1/9/2014 are entitled for higher pension as per this judgment. So this is the para which is being talked in the Supreme Court judgment dated 4th November 2022, and for which you have the guidelines. Now let me also tell you, friends, this part of R.C. Gupta judgment and the EPFO circular is only applicable to employees where their employer and employees contributed on higher wages, which is beyond the ceiling wages, which I already clarified to you. And also it is going to be applicable who exercised the option in view of the R.C. Gupta judgment. After the R.C. Gupta judgment, so many people went back to the EPFO and they exercised the option. If you are exercised the option, then only it is applicable. And as per the circular, if you look at, they have categorized what kind of pensioners can apply for higher pension. See, which I already told you. Let me clarify from the circular. See, the first one is the pensioners who as employees had contributed under paragraph 26(6) of EPS scheme on salary exceeding the prevalent wage ceiling of 5,000 or 6,500, whatever is applicable. So that means not every pensioner is going to be applicable for higher pension. So you should have been contributing more than the wage ceiling, and your employer also should have been contributing on the more than the wage ceiling, which was 6,500 before 1/9/2014, and much before it was 5,000. So this is one condition. The second condition, you should have exercised joint option under proviso to para 11(3) of the pre-amended scheme while being members of EPS 95. So this also I told you. There is another criteria. Their exercise of such option was declined by PF authorities. Now, when based on the R.C. Gupta case, people went back to the EPFO and started filing the options. Because of the doubts and confusion, their claims were declined. So your claim would have been declined. Now you have the option to go for file for your application. Now let me tell you how can you make your application. See, if you look at the circular, it talks about you can do it online on EPF official website. But I checked the website, there is no option available, but you can also look at the pensioner portal. If option is available, you can do it. See, otherwise you can contact your employer and route your application through employer. See, the circular also says that the application will be specified by your concerned regional provident fund commissioner, and you have to provide certain proofs for claiming your eligibility. See, that first one is the proof of joint option under para 26(6) of EPF scheme, and which should be verified from your employer. See, what is this paragraph 26(6) and what is the interpretation? All those things I have talked about it. And the second one is the proof of your option under proviso to para 11(3) verified by your employer. Also you should file it, and you should also through your employer specify that whether you contributed more than the ceiling wages or not. There is a proof from your employer is also required, and whether the contributions on higher wages are contributed to or remitted to pension fund. This is also important, and if there is a refusal from the BPFO, that document is also necessary. And in case of readjustments or something is required, then there is a consent from you is also required, because the accounts are settled now, and the EPFO must have not taken the money from the pensioners when they actually filed their application for higher pension. Now they will take the consent, and there is a readjustment of the fund or redeposit of the fund is required, which the provident fund department will contact you. And as I said earlier in my previous video, this is not only applicable for EPFO members, this is also applicable to exempted trust. So therefore the exempted trust should also file a consent and provide the details and transfer the funds whatever it is possible. And you can definitely contact your RPFC and your employer and file your paper so that you don't miss out this opportunity if you are eligible. Thank you for watching this video, friends. There are still more details are necessary. You keep watching this channel for more information, and I will come to you with more information on this in the days ahead. Thank you very much.